Reading Pioneers is proud to present My Worst Best Friend Does It Again. Stories by Julie Cavacco, illustrations by Jack Cavacco. Snow Day. There had been snow in the forecast. We knew we wouldn't have school. I woke up early and planned out my day. No one ever wants to drive in all that snow, so I always walk over to Andy's house. I think his house is the best place to be on a snow day. Before I left, I had to help shovel the sidewalk and brush off the cars. It wasn't too bad because I got paid a little. When I was done, I was all set to leave, but my dad wanted more help with Mrs. Law's driveway. It was still early, so I didn't mind too much. When I shovel, I like to think of fun stuff we do at Andy's on a snow day. We always make snowmen. I make the usual kind with a big round ball for the body and another for the head. Andy will always make a zombie. He puts a big rock up high for one eye and then a small rock lower for the other. He puts a line for the mouth, not a smile. Also, we always have hot cocoa with milk. It's the best! I knew we'd go into the greenhouse of their family's garden shop to get warm and play a board game like we always do. I could not wait. When I was finally done, my dad let me go. I like walking over to Annie's house through the snow. I know I could take the shortcut through the backyards, but I like the long way. I like throwing snowballs into the snowbanks. I like throwing snowballs at signs on the way. I even throw them up in the air and catch them. I was all set to have a great snow day. But when I got there, I didn't see Andy outside. His brother Randy told me, "He went over to your house. He was sick of waiting for you. He took the shortcut." The wind was taken out of my sails, as my dad would say. Should I go find him? Should I take the shortcut? This snow day was going to be rotten. I was frozen there, not sure what to do next. Just then, I got hit in the back with a snowball. I got mad and said a word my mother wouldn't like. I turned around and saw Andy had thrown the ball. I smiled. Since I had all that practice throwing snowballs, I was all warmed up and ready to get him back good. "Run!" Andy yelled, and he turned and took off. I knew then it was, finally, the start of a great snow day. Library visit. The plan was for me to stop by Andy's house on the way to the library. If he was done with his homework, he could come with me. My mom gave me her cell phone so she could call to remind me when I had to go to the dentist. When I got to Andy's house, he wasn't done with his homework. He asked me to wait for him. I sat in the chair in his room and read one of the Hero Master comic books that was on his bed. I had heard about them and was dying to look at them when we got to the library. After I read a page or two, he asked me how to use a word in a sentence. The story in the comic was great, and the artwork was awesome, so I didn't look up, and I just give him a sentence. When I got to the end of the last page, he asked me again for like the 10th time, and that's when I added it all up and knew I had just done his homework for him. He knew, I knew, and said with a smile, "At least we can go now." Just as we walked in the door of the library, the cell phone rang. It was my mother. It was time to go. I told her we just got there. She said, I could go back after the dentist. Andy stayed to look for a book. I said goodbye and told him I'd see him later. When I left him, he was in the comic section and had some of the Hero Master series in his hand. I felt pretty rotten he got to hang out more when I had to leave. The dentist was no big deal, and I made it back to the library as fast as I could. When I was in the dentist chair, I planned on how I'd hang out at the library and read the rest of the series today. I knew just what I had to do for my homework, so I knew I'd do it fast. I told my mom to pick me up late. I went right to the comic section to get the books. Andy and the books were gone. I ran to the checkout desk to ask about them. There was Andy with the whole Hero Master series in his arms. What? I said. I was going to get them. I've got all this time because I did my homework when I did yours for you. Andy looked at me. I think he felt sorry for me. I knew he'd let me have them. Sorry, but your group has that big math sheet to do tonight, he said as he headed to the door with a stack of books. My mom's here. I've got to go. I wasn't going anywhere, except to go do my homework. Writing Fair. Every year, our school has a writing fair. Kids who like to write send stuff in. That's me. Kids whose parents want them to write send stuff in. That's Andy. It's not a contest. The motto is, everyone wins. I've done it every year. This was Andy's first year. I wrote mine about how a flower grows. I listed all the facts I knew. I typed it up. I made a drawing and used markers and colored pencils. I put it on a very white paper. I covered every inch of it. I said it was in honor of Mrs. Rome, my first grade teacher. I did everything just right. On the night of the fair, everyone goes to the gym and reads the writing. There's a sheet of paper with the kid's name on it and space to write nice things about their work. I love that part. Mine is always filled with, "Good job! Lovely artwork!" Nice things like that. What can I say about Andy's? It was fair. Not good, but not bad. His wasn't typed. He wrote it by hand. It was about how the school got taken over by giant rats. He didn't even end the story. It just stopped with, "Or did they?" written in extra big messy letters. And he used a blue pen for the picture he drew. It was on the same page as the writing. They put ours next to each other. That made me feel bad for him. I could see how messy his was next to mine. We read other kids' stuff. There were 5 more from my class that wrote about flowers. I liked mine best. I mean, I put so much time into it. I was pretty proud. But I was nice and I wrote, "Good job," on the other kids' sheets. A girl named Mia wrote a great story about getting lost in the woods at the age of 3. The older boy who lived next door found her. She rode his dirt bike out of the woods with him. He was her hero. I wrote, "Awesome," on hers. Another one I liked was about the day a kid got a puppy. He used a lot of big words that made me feel like I was there. I wrote down, "Great job," because it made me laugh. I made my way back to my table. My sheet had a full page of comments. My mom took up half the page. Others wrote, "Nice artwork," pretty flowers. I was happy. But then I looked at Andy's. He had 2 pages filled with comments on both sides. Things like, awesome! Best one this year! So funny! Someone drew a big star on it. I had to walk away. Was his better? Mine was so neat. His was a mess. I ran into my dad, and he asked if I had read Andy's. He said, laughing, I never knew he could write that well. I had to walk away. The crowd was thinning out, and Andy saw me. Did you read mine? He asked. I told him I was just going to. He stood next to me while I read it. I didn't want to like it, but I had to laugh when the rats wore the principal's shoes in the story. When I was done, I got why he wrote, or did they? It really was great. It was one of a kind. I didn't love how his looked, but the story was awesome. He looked at mine and told me my picture was great. That's when I realized it really is. Everyone wins. Thank you, Pioneers, for reading with us today to the book My Worst Best Friend Does It Again by Julie Cavacco. While there are 6 chapters to this book, I only read the first 3 to give you a taste of what to expect from the narrator and his best friend, Andy. I love reading these stories and how entertaining they can be. If you're interested in more content by Julie, you can check out the rest of this book and her other bundles on Amazon.com. Links are available in the description box down below for you to access them easily. I'm so grateful that Julie contacted me to read this book with you today. If you have a book you'd like to be read on this channel, please send me an email, contact@readingpioneers.com, so we can turn it into the next video. Also, it would help this channel a lot if you like the video, share the story with your family and best friend, and subscribe, clicking the notification bell to stay tuned for the next read aloud coming soon. Unfortunately, this is it for today's video. While waiting for the next upload, remember to check out this book on Amazon to help support Julie and Jack. This is going to be it for now, so thanks again, readers, for joining us today, and until next time, I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye-bye!